Alright, let's jazz it up a bit with some colloquial flair. Welcome to Lben's Tea House. Good evening to you, folks. Thanks for swinging by. This is Lben on the airwaves. Cast your mind back to that TV show Prison Break. Ring any bells? Remember how the main guy, Michael, inked his whole back with the prison's blueprint to bust his brother out? That storyline sticks with you, and boy, do we love to chew the fat about that show. So today, let me spin you a yarn about tattoos. Regulars here know my little tea house ain't exactly grand, tucked away in a cultural park. I was still in the middle of sprucing the place up when someone comes sniffing around the vacant spot next door, looking to rent and set up shop. I poke my nose in and ask, "What's the gig?" The dude says, "Tattoo parlor." And I'm like, hold up, really? Now, don't get me wrong, society's all about open minds and innovation, but tattoos? They carry a decades-old stigma for folks like us. Who goes for tattoos? Let's see, European pirates sailing the seven seas who might end up dead as a doornail would get tatted so they'd be recognizable. In ancient China, if you crossed the law, you had your face branded. That's right, no good folks went for tattoos. Hearing about this tattoo shop plan kinda made me grimace, but it's not my property, and I don't call the shots. Next thing I know, the tattoo joint's popping up right next to mine, looking all snazzy. I wasn't gonna get a security camera, mind you, but this made me shell out for one just to keep an eye out. You never know, some crook might march in there by day, catch a glimpse of the treasure trove in my shop, fine arts and riches galore. I couldn't risk losing any piece of my collection, so it was better to risk being a bit overcautious. A couple of months passed, and I realized I might have overreacted. Summertime, the door's wide open, I'm standing by the entrance and can overhear their chats. None of the ruffian ruckus I expected, no tales of mayhem. Instead, visitors to the tattoo parlor seem well-bred, talking about design, masterpieces from home and abroad, and even international competitions. Listening in, I start to check myself, was I too quick to judge? That's me, always quick to course correct once I spot my bias. So I start to mingle with them, and there was this one time, the owner, whom I call East Bro, a good 40-odd years my senior, came by my shop. I decided to sit down for a chat over some freshly brewed tea. Keeping it casual and a touch humorous, here's your story in English. So I said to East Bro, "You know, I never pegged you tattoo folks for being so artsy-fartsy. Honest to goodness, I was pretty guarded when you first showed up." East Bro goes, "Guarded against what, man?" In my head, folks with tattoos were part of some gang or, at the very least, troublemakers. Never thought you and your clients would be like some college students. Next time you throw a party, come by my place and I'll hook you up with a discount. After hearing me out, East Bro cracks up, "You were spot on, Yang, my little bro. You saw me today, but you haven't seen my past," he said. "East Bro, you've got stories to tell?" I motioned, "Pour away." So, 20 years back East Bro was 19, couldn't stick with school. He saw classmates working odd jobs, learning trades, and others who, well, just ditched the straight path to flirt with gang life. He didn't want to mix up with the wrong crowd, but back in the day, if you weren't in school and there was no dough at home, the streets were your only teacher. East Bro's life took just that turn. Manual labor seemed like a chore, so what's a guy to do? Plenty of pals were in the local rackets and, influenced by those young and dangerous movies. Everyone in the Hong Kong underworld seemed to have tats. Sudden brainwave, none of our local toughs had ink, so why not cash in on that? He went and got himself a kit and declared himself a tattoo artist after a bit of dabbling. Thankfully, the guy had a knack, could sketch out dragons and phoenixes like no one's business. So his little venture turned out pretty decent. With him, it's all like, "You're tattooing tough guys? They're itching to strip in the dead of winter just to show off their ink." Word of mouth did its magic, and he made a name locally. But full back pieces? Nope, never heard of those. Most everyone got their chest or arms done. Then one day, in walked these two wannabe gangsters, straight up asking for matching dragons. East Bro's like, "What style you in the market for? There's nuance. Azure dragon over the shoulder brings endless wealth, golden dragon around the legs, fortune floods in." The duo wants fullback mythical dragons, Big Bro here gets the head and front half. My kid brother gets the tail end. Ink in those days was all winging it, not like now with stencils and transfer techniques. So, they wanted a fullback piece, a big job that East Bro really wanted to ace. But boy, was he anxious about botching it. Bad tattoos can turn into brawls, ending in real serious stuff, life or death serious. So he's upfront about it. Haven't done one like this before, maybe shop around, I'm nervous to mess up. But the fellas insist, no sweat, as long as it's a dragon we're good. Give us a bargain, will ya? Come to find, these brothers were local hustlers, not into racketeering or anything sinister. But they hung out at the pool halls, video joints, arcade spots. Being part-time bouncers dealing with troublemakers. They'd been around but never quite made a name for themselves. Players looked right past him, didn't give him an ounce of respect. They pondered, what's missing? The eureka moment, without ink, who'd take him for toughs. They deliberate. United as brothers, we conquer, let's sport matching dragons. They're tight on cash, so who cares if it's not high art? It's a dragon if it looks like one, bare armed for all to see. East Bros relieved, with my skill, it might not be Michelangelo but it'll look like what it's supposed to. Deal struck, he tells him, can't do it today, come by first thing tomorrow, I'll set the whole day aside. Won't take any other work. Brothers agree and take off. But East Bros worried now, it's his first fullback dragon, and there ain't no guide for that. He tosses and turns all night, how am I gonna pull this off? Then, that very night, he has this dream. In it, he's fishing by the riverbank and out from the underbrush slithers a snake. Just as he's about to split, the snake speaks up, do me a solid, and you'll be rewarded. Intrigued by the promise, East Bro asks, how can I help? Hold on to my skin tight, says the snake. East Bro grabs it, and the snake starts twisting and writhing, his grasp almost giving out when now. Rip. The skin splits. He looks down at a whole shed snake skin in his hand. Glancing up, there's a dragon flying above the water, turning back as if to say, thanks before plunging into the river below. Looking skyward. A twister spins up, connecting river to the clouds, a whirlwind atop the water. Where the dragon's creek meets the sky. Just a little push with East Bro and that'll do. I glanced at the window, outside, it was pouring rain. Come next morning, the two small-time hoodlums arrived as expected. Can't say why, but the dragon from East Bro's dream was etched deeply into his mind. He went off memory, sketching the dragon onto their skins, then set to work with a tattoo needle. Everything went smoothly. The dragon came to life, looking as if it might leap off their backs. The young ruffians were beyond pleased, delighted, even. Better than anything in Young and Dangerous, they praised, slapped down the cash, and went on their way. After that, they climbed the ranks, took control of the local scene in less than 2 years. Started with arcades, gambling machines, then, feeling that was peanuts, plunged into real estate. Spending like there was no tomorrow. Those guys returned to East Bro with 200 grand, saying, that dragon you inked, it's got some real mojo. Hats off to you, here's your cut. But listen, we don't want you inking this for anyone else. If we catch a glimpse of a dragon like ours on anyone else, not only can we take back this money, we can spend it twice over for your hide. Dropping that bombshell, they disappeared. East Bro never had much love for those tangled up in the underworld, having grown himself in that kind of tough neighborhood. When he heard this and looked at the money, 200K was a hefty sum back in the day, he decided it was time to move on. He took off to Guangdong, Shenzhen, to properly learn the art and finesse of tattooing. Then Beijing, Shanghai, years of wandering and building a reputation that preceded him. That's when he leased this small front he operates from. These days, the criminal types don't cross his path, and in the world of tattooing, there's a deep cultural essence and historical significance he's a part of. Though, biases do linger deep. Hearing this, I was filled with endless reflection. East Bro had quite the past. He chuckled and said, all right, enough chatter. Got a client who booked me for a Nezha tattoo. Should be here any minute. With that, I saw him out, then nudged the door closed to tend to my own business. Before long, as I was about to run an errand, I passed by his shop and peered in. There was East Bro, hunched over by the tattoo bench, machine in hand, making gestures. But, wait, no one's on the table? He's practicing on his own, I guessed. Completely engrossed. I didn't want to interrupt. Yet, 1 month went by. East Bro came to find me, Yang, little bro, there's been trouble, he said. I asked what was up, and he told me he saw on CCTV that the brothers he tattooed had been arrested. Facing charges related to organized crime, they might even be facing execution. I said, that's good riddance. Weren't they the ones who threatened your life? It's justice for the people, about 20 years overdue. They should have been dealt with long ago. But East Bro was uneasy. No, Yang, little bro, I feel this has something to do with me, like it's a case I reported. Remember that story I shared with you that day, when I had an appointment to ink Nezha? Yeah, you remember, right? The client was odd, asking for a Nezha slashing a dragon's head. I didn't think much of it at the time, as long as there was money involved, I'd ink whatever they wanted. But now, looking back, I can't shake the feeling these two things are connected. Hearing this, it all came back to me. East Bro, that day, after you told me, I stepped out and glanced into your place. You seemed deeply focused. Working at the bench alone, so I didn't disturb you. Bro, don't freak me out now, he said, that day, when you saw me out, that Nezha client came right before and after. Didn't you see? We both went cold at that revelation. What to do? Let's check the surveillance footage, I suggested. We got it, but what it showed left East Bro gobsmacked. He insisted he entered the shop with the client, yet the footage only showed East Bro, alone. After that day, East Bro was gone. I didn't know what he feared more, retaliation from the underworld or a haunted presence of Nezha. Last fall, bored out of my mind in the shop, I suddenly heard from the TV, number 9. With the Supreme People's Court's approval, Xianning Intermediate People's Court lawfully carried out the execution of the criminals Lu Han, Lu Wei, Tang Shanbing, Zhang Donghua, Tian Shenwei. After a court session held on May 23, 2014. For crimes including organizing, leading, and participating in an organized crime group, intentional homicide, etc., Lu Han, Lu Wei, and 3 others were sentenced to death. With approval sought from the Supreme People's Court for the execution. In accordance with legal regulations. Xianning Intermediate People's Court in Hubei Province arranged for the criminals to meet with close relatives before the execution, fully ensuring the lawful rights of the condemned. As the news played, I clearly saw the dragon's head, inked on the brothers, had disappeared.